Today we'll be going over free agent wide receivers and this wide receiver class or group, whatever you want to call it. But this is actually a very stacked group of wide receivers, so it should be a fun video. We already did quarterbacks, we did running backs, we'll do tight ends next. We'll get onto the offensive line and defense in the coming days, weeks, whenever I get it done. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave in the comments where you think these wide receivers will go, and let's get into it. Number one, we have Allen Robinson. So it's yet to be known if Allen Robinson will be a guy who's franchise tagged by the Chicago Bears, but I think in most people's minds, he is the clear wide receiver one of this free agency because he has just been phenomenal. Even with bad quarterback play, underwhelming quarterback play from Nick Foles and Trubisky and Chase Daniel, and he's been pretty healthy outside of 2017 when he tore his ACL, but outside of that has basically played in just about every game. He missed 3 back in 2018, but he is a guy that can play outside, inside, contested catch is very good. He's not the greatest yak guy, but man, on like contested catches and just getting separation, he's great at that. So I think Allen Robinson can fit just about any team. They've talked about him going back to Chicago. You saw reports that he wanted out, which I get because you want a better quarterback. I get that. I've heard of Green Bay, which would be very terrible for Bears fans to have him go in division to Green Bay, and opposite of Devontae Adams, which would be, oh my God, that'd be crazy. But the Miami Dolphins makes sense. I mean, I guess they already have Devontae Parker. I guess Preston Williams will come back, but at the same time, Preston Williams is like, he's an undrafted guy, I think, so it's not like you're banking on that. So if they can get Allen Robinson in there with all the cap space they have, that might be a good move as well. And the New York Jets, I've heard the Jets a lot for Allen Robinson because and the chance that Deshaun Watson actually goes to the Jets, which probably won't happen at this point, but there's been rumors about he wants to go where Watson goes, and if he went to the Jets, then maybe. Same thing with the Dolphins. I mean, those are like the two most likely teams if Watson is traded to get him, so that's kind of why I put them on here. But even if the Jets took like Zach Wilson, who I think is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, that would not be the worst fit either. It would be like you're still in basically a rebuild. I feel like the Jets are still a year away from competing, so don't know if Allen Robinson wants to go that route, but I feel like if he did leave Chicago, I think Green Bay would be a very nice fit for him, honestly. Number 2, we have Kenny Golladay. So this should be an interesting one. Don't know if he'll be franchise tagged or not. There's talks about it, there's rumors about it, but it's not like a guarantee. The Lions are losing Marvin Jones probably. They're probably losing Amendola, so I feel like Kenny Golladay might be the only guy left, so maybe they do franchise tag him. So we'll find out. But if he leaves, I think my team, the Giants, will make a huge run at this guy. I could definitely see that happening, so I feel like the Giants are in play. I could see the Indianapolis Colts as well because, they already have Michael Pittman. T.Y. Hilton's a free agent. We'll go over him later. That's a hint for the future. But T.Y. Hilton's a free agent. You still have Paris Campbell in the slot, hopefully, if he's healthy. So if you can get a team of Pittman, Campbell, and Golladay, not bad. Like, that's pretty damn good for Carson Wentz. So I feel like that might be a good move for the Colts, who have a lot of cap space still. But honestly, I feel like a team that would make the biggest run at him would be the Giants. It all depends if Detroit wants to franchise tag him or not. But if they don't, I could definitely see him going to those 2 locations. And Golladay has been, one of the better wide receivers the past 3 years. He was hurt a lot last year, but before that, he was pretty healthy. Played in 16 games in 2019, 15 games in 2018, missed some his rookie year, but his rookie year, he showed some flashes, then broke out in year 2. He led the league in touchdowns last year. Like, he was awesome. Once again, just like Allen Robinson, not the greatest yards after catch guy. He's a bit better than Robinson, but, on contested catches, he will make some of the most acrobatic catches you'll see. He can basically beat anybody in a jump ball, be a red zone threat. Like, he'd be a great wide receiver 1 for a lot of teams. And a team like the Giants, once again, who desperately needs one, I feel like Golladay would be a great fit there. Number 3, we have Chris Godwin, another Penn State guy, just like Allen Robinson. But Chris Godwin has had a very nice NFL career at a young age, still at 25 years old. He'll be 25 next year, I should say. So he broke out last year. He had 1,300 yards on 86 receptions, 9 touchdowns. And that was the first year that Bruce Arians put him into the slot full time. And that was actually the first year Arians coached there in Tampa Bay. So that makes sense. So I guess once Dirk Cutter moved on, they put Arians in there. He put him in the slot full time. And that's when Godwin really excelled because he's a good separation guy. He can create after the catch as well. So I feel like, I think Tom Brady had a quote that Godwin has the best hands he's ever seen on a wide receiver, which was kind of ironic because he dropped like 5 passes in one game. But I do think he played with a broken finger for a lot of the season, so there was that. He also had a hurt hamstring, so he only played in 12 games last year, so that was obviously not good for him on a contract year. But he still contributed. He had 65 catches and 840 yards, 7 touchdowns. I would say that's very good for a 12-game season. So he would help a lot of teams, especially teams that need slot help, and I feel like he can go back to Tampa. Definitely could see that happening. Now, Tampa does have Tyler Johnson behind him, the rookie from, I think, Minnesota. Is it? Yeah, Minnesota. So they could go with him and just be a much cheaper option because they have other guys to sign like Levante David, Shaq Barrett, as we know, and maybe Ndamukong Suh, Leonard Fournette. So they have other free agents there. So if Chris Godwin moves on, then Tyler Johnson may be a much cheaper option to be the slot guy. Even Scotty Miller's not bad either. So I see Washington, the football team, as a potential option because they have McLaurin, they have Cam Sims. They don't have much of a slot receiver, I feel like. I think that would be a nice fit for Washington if Godwin can go there. Also has familiarity probably with Ron Rivera because he was in the Panthers division for a while, for a few years when Rivera was there, so there's probably some familiarity there. And the Dolphins, I mean, the Dolphins have had, I guess, some issues filling the slot. I know that Albert Wilson, who is their usual slot receiver, sat out this year with the COVID stuff. They had that Isaiah Ford guy at one point as their slot guy. So, like, they have not the best options at slot, and I feel like that can really help Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm like, the Dolphins seem like a good fit as well. So I can see that happening, but I think any team with slot help or slot need at wide receiver, Godwin's probably your guy. Number 4, we have Will Fuller. Now, Fuller was having a great year, got suspended. I think he might be suspended the first game of 2021, so that is something to keep in mind. I feel like it won't impact him too much, though, but how much of his great season was produced by the PEDs, I don't know. I feel like Will Fuller was probably having his best season in the NFL, so that definitely raises some eyebrows, but at the same time, he was great last year. I feel like Fuller is more than just a deep target. He knows how to get open. I think he's really good after the catch as well. But if you're a team that already has a really good wide receiver one of the best wide receiver ones in football, like teams I have on here, like the Green Bay Packers and DeAndre Hopkins with the Cardinals, I think he'd be a perfect number 2 for a lot of teams out there. So the Packers I could see because Devontae Adams is more of a, I don't want to say anything bad, but a really, really good possession receiver. Like Devontae Adams does have some big catches in his career, but for the most part, Devontae Adams does his damage within 20 yards of the line of scrimmage. Like he will have deep catches. I'm not saying he can't do it, but most of his damage is pretty close to the line of scrimmage as compared to a guy like Will Fuller. And Aaron Rodgers, as we know, has one of the prettiest deep balls in football. And it's better than having guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Alan Lazard relying on those guys to catch deep balls. I'd much rather have Will Fuller if I was them. So I could see that happening. The Arizona Cardinals would make sense as well because, it's an indoor team. You're playing on that fast track, and Kyler Murray, for his size, throws a phenomenal football deep. So I feel like you have him. You have DeAndre Hopkins, whoever else they put in the slot. If Larry Fitzgerald comes back, maybe Andy Isabella finally steps up. But that would be a very nice receiving core for the Cardinals. I feel like any team that just has a wide receiver one that could use a wide receiver two to take some attention away from that guy, that would be a great fit for Will Fuller. Now, the concerning part is the amount of games he's missed. Now, he played 11 games last year because of the suspension, but he was healthy the whole year, basically. The year before that, it was 11 games, then it was 7, then it was 10, then it was 14. So he's never played 16 games in his career. That's the thing. You have to be a little concerned about his injury history, but if you somehow got him to play 70, 80% or more of his games on a new contract, I feel like you get a very good return on investment because Will Fuller, very good football player. Not a wide receiver one, but a very, very high-end wide receiver two. He can take the top off of defense, as they say. I think it'd be a very good compliment for a lot of wide receiver ones in this league. Number 5, we have JuJu SmithSchuster. So he's had a pretty odd career so far. In his first year, he was that young, 21-year-old, very exciting guy that kind of came out of nowhere, started making like big splash plays for the Steelers and earned more playing time as the year went on. He almost had 1,000 yards as a rookie on 79 catches and 7 touchdowns, had a NFL long 97-yard touchdown. He actually had that back-to-back years. He had a 97-yard touchdown in 2018 as well. And speaking of 2018, that was Antonio Brown's final year there, and it took some attention away from him, and he had 111 catches, over 1,400 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So JuJu, when Antonio Brown was there, was playing at this elite level. Then JuJu was asked to be the wide receiver one, and to no fault of his own, his quarterback got hurt in 2019. As we know, Ben Roethlisberger got the Tommy John elbow surgery, and JuJu was basically out there with Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges, and it was a pretty rough time. He faced some injuries last year as well. He played in every game this past season, 2020, had 97 catches, 831 yards, so he went down from basically 13.1 yards per reception to 8.6. It's a big drop-off, and the Steelers definitely ran their offense in a different way this year. A lot of it was quick passes. They didn't go deep as much as they used to. I don't know if that was because of Ben Roethlisberger's arm or what. His arm's not terrible, but it's not what it used to be, but they really didn't go deep too much in Pittsburgh. But I would say JuJu is a guy that I would not give a ton of money to, but he can definitely help some teams. And that whole, TikTok and dancing on other people's logos thing was not a good look in a contract year, and it definitely got other teams motivated. But, I feel like he's still a pretty good wide receiver. I think he's a pretty good slot guy. I feel like the Steelers might bring him back, but it also would not shock me if they don't, because they already have Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. They don't need to bring him back. Washington, once again, you need a slot receiver. You have McLaurin, you have Sims, you need a slot guy there. The Jets do have Jamison Crowder, but I feel like Juju's been linked to the Jets for whatever reason for like the past couple months, so I could see Juju going there. I don't know why I feel that way. He's a California guy, I think, but I don't know why he's being linked to the Jets so much. I guess because they have all the cap space in the world, but I feel like Juju could be a Jet. I don't know where he'll go. I do think Washington would be a solid fit, but it'd be hard for the Steelers to give up on a guy this young. He's had a pretty good health history. He's been, productive for most of his career. So I know there's some baggage that comes along with it. He's a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but just like the, kind of the TikTok antics and all that is a bit of baggage, and some people don't like that. But he's still a good receiver. So we'll find out where he goes. It's going to be interesting what kind of contract he gets. I don't think it'll be like $15, $20 million per year, maybe a bit lower, but he's still 24. So we'll find out where Juju goes. Now we'll get on to the honorable mentions. So first we start with Curtis Samuel, the 24-year-old, and I think he owes a lot of, praise to Joe Brady and Matt Rule. They probably made him a lot of money this offseason because they used him in a very creative way. I don't know how much that had to do with the McCaffrey injury, the running back, but at the same time, he did get a lot of carries at the backfield, and he was a much versatile player than most people probably thought, and that definitely probably improves some value, will get him a bigger contract. So I don't know where he'll go. I could see him leaving Carolina. It's not a guarantee where he goes. The Giants, of course, are a potential suitor because the Giants GM drafted Samuel back in Carolina. So that's something that, keep an eye on maybe. But Marvin Jones, 31 years old. There was already reports that he wants to go to the Rams and play with Matthew Stafford. So I definitely can see that one happening. He's still a pretty good wide receiver too in this league. Sammy Watkins, I still like him as a player, but gets hurt too much. I would not give him a lot of guaranteed money. I could see him staying in KC, but do they want to keep him? That's another question. So, we'll find out. But yeah, he's still a pretty good receiver when he's out there. Still 27 years old, by the way. AJ Green, 32 years old now. You can tell he lost a lot. He's just not who he used to be, unfortunately. Still a pretty, a pretty good jump ball player, but doesn't create any type of separation now. It's just, he looks like a guy at the end of his career, that's for sure. So I think he'll go to a competitor. I feel like his Cincinnati career is probably over, but maybe AJ Green somehow offers a red zone threat for some team. I have no idea. But T.Y. Hilton. Hilton's 31, kind of like AJ Green in a way. He's falling off a bit. He used to be like a consistent 1,000 yards per year type guy. He's been at like 500 yards, 700 yards recently, so it's not been the same. And I guess when when you rely on your speed and you lose your speed, I guess T.Y. Hilton's not as effective as he used to be. So I guess I could see him staying with the Colts, but at the same time, it's not a guarantee. I would not pay him a bunch of money based on his name. Corey Davis, 26 years old, a former top 5 pick, I think it was maybe. So he was taken very highly. And he had a good year this year. He was either over 1,000 yards or right near it. Like, he had a good year next to A.J. Brown, and he had some very, very big games at some points. I feel like he had nearly 200 yards in separate games this year. So he's had a pretty good season. He's had a weird career. It was with Marcus Mariota for a lot. It didn't really go too well for him, but his first full season and his only season with Ryan Tannehill for a full year, he definitely proved to be a pretty good wide receiver too. So I feel like he'll get paid by somebody, maybe $10 million per year, but at least he'll get himself a nice contract. Brashad Perriman, he had a nice 2019 with the Buccaneers. Didn't really do much for the Jets last year. I think he got hurt too. So, I don't know where he'll go, but I guess we'll find out. I don't feel like he's a guarantee to return to the Jets. Willie Snead, he was okay. He played a lot of slot for the Ravens, was a third down and short type target. Didn't make too many big plays happen, but was a guy who would move the chains at some points. Antonio Brown, I feel like he'll go back to the Buccaneers and play with Tom Brady. There's no doubt there. Chris Conley's an interesting one. Conley had a pretty good year a couple years ago. Had like 800 plus yards in one season. Then started having decreased playing time because guys like DJ Chark came on, Laviska Shenault was drafted, Keelan Cole was good, so they had guys take his spot, but I feel like Chris Conley might be a good fit somewhere. And Nelson Aguilar, that's one that, a guy who had a really nice year, a former first-round pick, disappointed a lot in Philadelphia, had a couple decent seasons, but a couple bad ones as well, very bad ones, but went to the Raiders, became Derek Carr's go-to guy on the deep routes, and it should have been Henry Ruggs, but Nelson Aguilar had a good year. There's still some drops in there. He's not perfect, but I feel like the perfect Nelson Agholor suitor would be a team that misses out on Will Fuller. Like, if you can't afford Will Fuller or you miss out on him, I feel like if you miss out on that guy, you go for Nelson Agholor. It's like kind of a similar skill set, similar type style at wide receiver. So if you miss on Fuller, you get Agholor. At least you didn't miss out completely, but he's not Will Fuller, of course. But there are some other guys out there. I'm sure you guys can look up on the internet who the free agents are. But there's guys like Tim Patrick, who I like for the Broncos. I mentioned Keelan Cole. Even Deshaun Jackson got released. I don't think he might retire, honestly. He has not played much in recent years. But yeah, there are some other names out there for sure. It's not just this, but hopefully you guys enjoyed, and leave in the comments where you think these receivers will go. And we'll do the tight end video on, I don't know what day, but probably in the next couple of days. But hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.